I'd always loved food. I couldn't imagine sitting in front of a desk all day. Probably the reason I got into cooking is because I loved cooking for myself, but also for other people. It's only when someone passes away that you wish that you'd asked so many more questions about their life. My wife and business partner Soph will be absolutely fuming. This is kind of our perfect menu. Actually had jerk chicken, rice and peas for dinner last night. This is not core memories. This is like recent.
Hello and welcome back to Tables to Talk About. Today I'm joined by the brilliant Adam Bush, chef, baker, food writer and one half of Scramble London, a catering company he runs with his wife Soph, serving up bold, seasonal sharing menus. In this episode we chat about how he got into food, training in Michelin-star kitchens, pubs and bakeries before turning his hand to recipe writing and food styling, his laid-back hosting style and what's on his ultimate dream dinner party menu, aka his and Soph's death row meal. Let's dive in. Hello, how are you?
Yeah, really good, thanks. Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. This is a nice Friday afternoon activity after a long week.
Definitely. Maybe the pub garden might be the ultimate, but this is definitely a good runner up.
Well, I'm holding you off and you can head to the pub garden after this. It has actually been a nice day today, so sunshine, fingers crossed, hopefully is back.
Yeah, summer again after like a week of cold.
I know, it's really hard to predict at the moment, isn't it? Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We are going to talk about your dream dinner party today. But before we start, do you want to explain a little bit about what you do for anyone that might not follow you already?
My name's Adam Bush. I am a chef and food writer. I've written a few cookbooks and have worked in a few restaurants. I own a catering company with my wife Soph called Scramble London. We cater events and parties and all kinds of things. And then outside of that, we write recipes and cookbooks. We both work for BBC Good Food and Olive, for Mob, for lots of big publications that you've probably read or cooked something of ours that you might not have known or might have known. Yeah, that's about it really.
That must be fun that you can do it together. Did you meet through what you do or did you meet and then start what you do?
Yeah, we actually met while I worked for Olive and she worked for BBC Good Food. At the time, we were rivals. We were in the same office. It was like a weird situation that we were owned by the same publishing house, but were like direct competitors and used the same test kitchen. So
weird.
It was like behind enemy lines when we first got together. Yeah, now we're very much on the same page and not enemies. So
that's a weird situation, isn't it, for two rival companies to share the same test kitchen?
Yeah, it was weird. They everyone was really concerned about like the cover and because obviously like the covers for magazines are so important because they're like a lot of what grabs the eye on the shelf. And so it was one of those weird things that they had to talk to each other to make sure they weren't doing exactly the same thing, but not enough to let the other know what they were doing. So and it was all like cloak and dagger. Like, if there was if they were shooting like the test for their cover in the test kitchen, they'd like ask everyone to leave and like do it, really
weird, like secretive. And then there's you two just like chatting the whole time.
Well, actually, we got taken off covers when we actually had to tell work because we were like, oh, by the way, this is happening. They like took us off covers so that like any information, I think, and then shortly after that, I think they loosened up a bit and were like, this doesn't matter that much.
So how did you get into working in food in the first place?
I have a degree in history, went and got a job in marketing once I finished. I'd always loved food. I absolutely hated it. Like, I couldn't imagine sitting in front of a desk all day. Yeah, like marketing. So yeah, basically that marketing seemed fun because you could do campaigns and you could have a bit of fun with it and you could be creative. But ultimately, I was always selling shit, like stuff that I didn't care about. Like, I didn't give a shit about it. I'd never really got that passionate about it. So I'm like, I don't care about marketing. Like, and ultimately I went and got quite pissed on like a Tuesday or Wednesday evening, like real pissed, like weekend pissed, and then went into work on the Wednesday with like crushing hangover and was like, yeah, I just like literally can't do it. So I just quit, which was one of those like rush of birds to the head moments that I'm actually so glad that I did, because I feel like I would have probably run the clock down. It would have taken me years, or like, you know what I mean, or may have like taken me to like a midlife crisis point before I was like, I'm going to do something else, like what I'm actually like really passionate about. And yeah, so I called my mum, and I'm very fortunate that like I'm, in a place where I have secure parents who, like, if anything else, I could always go and live with them. And like, I basically moved back in with my mum and did a little bit of like very basic training, and then worked in restaurants. Went in as like a commie at like Michelin star restaurants, and worked my way up really from there. And just basically, I knew I didn't want to work in restaurants permanently in the shortest amount of time, I guess, was what I went for. Yeah, so like, 18-hour days. Then the restaurant was open 7 days a week, so you might get put on 10 days in a row. Or but yeah, I learned so much, and I did that for a good few years. And then, sorry, I'm just rambling. Interject wherever you want, but
Did you and Soph decide to start Scrambled?
that actually took a long time. So once we kind of got together, actually left Good Food and has been freelance kind of, well, ever since. She's not really like work for someone else type. Her dad's like
Yeah.
self-employed. She thrives best when she's her own boss. Whereas it's taken me a long time to sort of kind of get that confidence. Really, I think I've always been brought up like you just been told to, like, a bit like why I went to uni and got a degree, and it's just the like done thing. You go and get a job, like someone else employs you, they pay into your pension, and you get health benefits and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, follow the system.
Yeah, so it's taken me a little bit longer to be like, wait, I could be the boss. I could have the
Yeah.
company that pays into my pension and
Yeah.
gives me help, whatever it is. But I was always kind of, I don't know, it never felt like an option. It was always like, yeah, you go in as a cog in a big machine, I guess. But yeah, so it's been going for a couple of years, and we're doing really well. So yeah, I haven't really looked back, to be honest.
It must be so nice actually that you guys get to run the business together as well, and like on your own terms and with your own flexibility.
We take a lot more than the like 28 days holiday a year, I'd say.
Yeah, I think you have to. That's like the major perk of being self-employed, isn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah. If it's like, a nice day, and
Yeah.
you're going to be working at the weekend, and it's like a Wednesday, and you know that you can just down tools and be like, should we
Yeah.
just go to the pool or whatever it is, go to Lido. Yeah, we do. So, but then, you work when you're self-employed, you're like never really off.
Yeah, that's the downside.
The downside, yeah, but I mean, we love it. Like, we wouldn't really have it any other way, to be honest.
Yeah, I was actually with a friend yesterday, and she was like, how many days holiday do you get? Like, or do you give yourself? And I was like, you know what? Nobody's ever asked me that question before. Like, I don't know. I just decide, and if I can, I can, and if I can't, I can't. But yeah, you do have that. You do have that. Then on the flip side, not ever being able to like fully switch your brain off because nobody else does the thing if you don't do the thing. So yeah, swings and roundabouts, but I think more positives than negatives, in my opinion. Okay, so we're going to be talking about your dream dinner party. Like, money is no object, reality is no object. I keep reminding people of this because I feel like some people play it safe and like, you can do whatever you want. Are you going to be hosting your dinner? Do you like to be the host?
It's kind of what we do for work, is host events. Like, we run through the years. I mean, we've been doing supper clubs for like 10 years. Before it was before it was more of a thing. But so we love entertaining. Like, I like probably the reason I got into cooking is because I loved cooking for myself, but also for other people. Like during uni, when I was in sixth form and stuff like that, after school, like cooking for other people, I used to buzz off it. And that's probably when, so I think as a maybe I wouldn't do that much necessarily cooking, but I might sharing like your favorite things or things that you think are really delicious is as good as, like, when you take someone to like your favorite restaurant they've never been to, and it's like, we have to order this thing, and then you get it and you see their face and they're like, wow, that's amazing. And you're like, yeah. And you don't have anything to do it. You just stumbled upon it or saw the recommendation on Instagram.
You introduced it to their life.
Yeah, doesn't mean that you don't not feel like a little bit buzzing. You're like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So I'd probably do a little bit of cooking and a little bit of just, this is what my favorite thing. But like, when I get onto the actual menu of it, we'll understand more of why I probably wouldn't cook it.
So hosting, but a little bit hands off.
I mean, hosting should always be a pretty hands off. You don't want to be slaving. You don't want to be slaving over the cooker. You want to be like chatting.
True, very, very true. You're hosting. Talk to me about the location. Where are you going to be?
There's a couple of shouts for this, really, with the imagination, with like, reality being no bounds. Really boring, but just obviously like could be in your own home. I guess that's like, because that is really where your brain goes to, I guess, with like hosting people, is you're most comfortable in your own home. But That's boring. We're not going to do that. We could do that anyway. That's like this is the unreal. I'm not going to be like the surface of the moon, but well, yeah, I mean, yeah, you could big like pods around your head full of oxygen. You know, like deep sea diving gear,
Like absolute logistical nightmare, but
like a letterbox, but for the food that you have to kind of like, or like a little tube that you have to go. And then you can, yeah, I don't know.
yeah, but somebody else would figure that out, so it's fine.
Yeah, yeah, that's I mean that's for NASA to sort out. I We went on holiday to Skiathos a couple of years ago and got an Airbnb that had like a terrace and it had like one of those things over it, you know, with slats and then like vines, one
Like a pergola.
yeah, pergola, that's it. And then with like wine vines and grapes hanging from it, like over the
Oh,
top, and like the
amazing.
most real sparkly blue sea and the sunset. Like, just it was like, you know, I mean, if I was listening to this or watching this, I'd be like, that's bullshit. Doesn't Things like that don't exist, but this one does. On this Greek island, and it was lush. And we like ate. We basically were on holiday, but we ended up cooking in every lunch and dinner because it was just
Hmm.
so nice.
Yeah, one of those places where you sit there and you think, why do we live in the UK?
Yeah, very much so.
Nice. Okay, so we're in Skiathos.
Hmm.
What kind of time of day is it?
Sundowners, you know, like golden hour light, but
Hmm.
maybe descending into a sunsetty kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, nice. Okay, table. I mean, you said you've done supper clubs and things for years. I guess you work more on the food side, but do you do a bit of tablescaping? Can you get involved with the table? No.
I mean, maybe a little bunch of wildflowers in a vase. I'm much more. I guess I although I do lots of it for my job, I'm not really that much of an aesthetic person when it comes to like I'm a bit more the people, the food, the vibe, the tunes, you know, kind of thing. Like the table might play into it. You know, I think some nice like more like the crockery of what we use. You know, like the porcelain dishes, like the like nicely painted like blues and whites of like Greek serving dishes, that kind of thing, but just like on like a white table, really. Not nothing too fancy.
Yeah, nothing too fussy. Concentrating on the vibe and the food instead. Do you feel like you are the same when you're in your own space as well, when you're at home? Like it's more about the food than the presentation or like necessarily pulling out specific pieces when you're hosting.
Well, it depends on who's coming around, really. If it's like my mum and my sister, sorry if they're watching or listening, but yeah, we probably just would just use. If it's like some new friends or like some newer friends who are like, oh, we've got them coming around on Friday or whatever, we might like
Hmm.
that a few more stops, or we've got like a big, we've basically collected loads of platters and plates and stuff from our like for our events. We serve canapes and our sharing bits on. So yeah, we've got loads of stuff that we could use that we'd just magic to Skiathos like that in a suitcase.
And I think you do have to think about the type of food I mean, we'll come on to food, but the type of food you're serving as well, because that can massively impact then whether you even have space on the table to do stuff, right? If you've got loads of platters and things happening, then
Absolutely.
you've got to prioritize those. We've set the scene, we've done minimal things to the table.
Yeah.
Who are you inviting to your dream dinner?
So we've got my granddad, who is no longer with us, but I'd have him just because I'd love to have a chat with him. Just
Yeah,
just have a dinner with him because he was a really interesting man. It's only when someone passes away that you wish that you'd asked so many more questions
totally.
about their life and about
Yeah.
who they were, and like yeah, I feel like I'd have so many things. To be honest, it might actually be a detriment to the dinner party because everyone else would just get ignored because me and him would just be
Yeah.
chatting away. But no, he was a really friendly person anyway, so he'd be chatting to everyone anyway.
Yeah, nice. I guess as long as the other two people had something to chat about, you're fine, right?
Yeah, 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 definitely.
Alive?
I've completely forgotten who I thought I was gonna. I'm like trying to wrap my brains about who it is. Why don't we go to fictional, and then I'll come back to that. Fictional would be Alex from A Clockwork Orange, who is the protagonist and is like a proper like hooligan. Not, I mean, he's like actually evil in the book, but like just for like pure chaos, I feel like it would be like the wildest, funnest dinner party if he was there.
I have read that, but like I feel like it was something I read at school and it's gone from brain.
I read it like every couple of years. It's written in this kind of like like kind of made up language in from this sci-fi future that has
Mm.
bits of Russian and slang, and you have to like tune your brain to be able to read it. It's just a really fun book.
What makes you pick him as your fictional guest? Like, what do you think he'd bring to the dinner?
Pure chaos in the book, like drinks loads and loves like classical music and the feeling and like all these things. I just think he would be super fun. It was basically the first name that just basically for some reason just jumped at me, even though it would
Mhm.
probably not be particularly enjoyable for some people. My granddad would probably hate him, for instance. And be like, who's this hooligan?
Have you remembered you're alive?
I did, yes. I would have my friend Ian Casey, who is one of my best friends, but I just don't get to see him that often. I feel like that. I like throwing a dinner party with some, and he would really get on with both people because he's a bit of a hooligan himself, but he's also, would really get on with my granddad. So he would be almost like a mediator between the two extremities and would keep everything under control.
Yeah,
Uh,
take some of the like hosting off your hands almost.
yeah, exactly. Like if I had to go to the kitchen and was like, oh my god, what on earth's going to happen while I'm gone? They would be, yeah, he'd be there.
What
Yeah.
do you think makes a good and a bad guest?
A good guest is someone who isn't fussy or like isn't pre-announced fussy. Catering and cooking and being in events, like we have to cater for everyone, and like we always will cater for everyone. Like that's absolutely fine. We have our likes and dislikes and our intolerances and all that kind of all those things. But it's the people who don't they have opportunity to say, by the way, I'm this or I don't like this. I really don't like this, and don't, and then announce it while you're like serving.
Mid.
I would have done something
Yeah.
else or changed it slightly.
Yeah. It's too late now.
Yeah, basically, because like every now and then we'll do events, and it's like we'll have sent through all the dietaries. We'll have asked the people to be like, we need a full list of dietaries, like how many vegetarians, how many vegans, etc. And then you always have to cater for like at least 3 or 4 extra vegetarians who, for whatever reason, might be on the day have decided they don't want to eat
The specific meat that you're serving, yeah.
yeah. And I don't want to like demonize them because that's not, but it's just it does
Mm.
tend to be that. Yeah, it does tend to be that.
Yeah, I think the problem with like press events and things as well, which we both work on, is that the guest list can change like up until the hour before. From your side, I guess that is dietaries that you have to juggle. And from my side, that's always place cards and menus.
Yeah,
So
completely.
like very rarely now I'll do a dinner setup or an event where the place cards are printed because it's just a waste of
Yeah.
time. They just all get handwritten now, basically every time. So you've got your guests. You think there'd be like a good vibe between them all. You spoke earlier about being less about like the aesthetics and more about the overall vibe and atmosphere, I guess. What music would you be listening to?
I think it would probably change throughout the evening. Some like just nice vibes, low level jazz at some point would be nice.
Hmm.
My granddad would be chuffed with that. And then probably just like some Beatles, like some recognizable tunes that are melodic.
Mm,
But you don't ever want. I feel like you never want the music to be like too in the forefront. Like you don't want to be like singing along, but you also want to be like have a little bop or like a vibe to it.
yeah, nice. And then would it change as the dinner goes on?
So the other thing that I was going to say about being a good dinner party guest
Mm,
is being able to like control your level of drunk. Don't get too pissed too
mhm.
quick. When like one person is obviously drunk.
Pace
Uh,
yourself.
yeah, pace yourself. So and then we'd, if it all crescendoed nicely, we'd probably have some like drum and bass at the end. And then at that point, you probably could be drunk.
We'll allow it at the end.
We'll allow it for the drum and bass, but only then,
Yeah.
not during the jazz.
Also, that person that means everybody needs to be keeping up because otherwise, a sober person at the end with the drum and bass is going to be like, "What the hell is going on?"
Well, and I don't want to think that sober people aren't welcome at my table. They absolutely are, and sober people like drum and bass too. So
It'd be interesting to see what the drum and bass vibe was with your grandpa.
I'm not sure it would go down that well. To be fair, he was never that patient with the music that I would ever play him when I was growing up. So I get the feeling he would probably call it like an absolute racket. But listen, you can't please everyone.
Just to even to see what his reaction would be to introduce him to drum and bass would probably be quite fun. You never know; he might be a big fan.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You never know.
Food and drink. This is, I feel like, where
Biggie.
you come into your own. Yeah. What are you going to be serving?
Crisps, straight out the bat, crisps, like on arrival, big bowls of like salt and vinegar.
Do you have a favourite brand of salt and vinegar crisps?
Co-op, sea salt, and Chardonnay vinegar are like aggressively vinegary.
I've actually heard this, that they're like the top tier if you like a sharp salt and vinegar crisp. They're the ones.
My sister actually a few years ago went and bought as many different types of salt and vinegar crisps like from as many shops as she could find, and gave it to me in a big box as my present with "Merry Christmas" on it,
I
because
respect that.
we like a salt and vinegar crisp. And actually, growing up, one of my presents would be, you know, you go to a corner shop, there's like the boxes of salt and vinegar McCoys that they like punch a
Yeah.
hole and drag them out. Yeah, my mum would just get me a box of salt and vinegar McCoys that I'd smash on Christmas Day. Been through a lot of salt and vinegar crisps, and McCoys are good, but yeah, the co-op sea salt Chardonnay vinegar ones are like, for the aficionado, are proper.
Top.
With Negronis to start, probably my favorite cocktail. Good livener. That would be like the on arrival
Straight off the bat. Okay, where are we going from there?
starter. And my wife and business partner Soph will be absolutely fuming at this whole thing that I'm doing here, because this is kind of like our, it's partly our perfect menu, but there's definitely a lot of crossover, like those crisps and Negroni starter, and probably the starter, and maybe the dessert. She will be like, those are mine. That's my dinner party.
Stolen.
Yeah. Um,
Are we
and
going like kind of death row meal then here, as well as like dream dinner?
oh yeah, as in this is mainly, as in, yeah, it's for my guests, but this is mainly.
This is for me. Yeah, nice. I think you learn a lot about a person from their death row meal.
Oh yeah, like everyone else is just coming along for the ride, but I'm
Yeah.
going to be very, very happy. And then
Yeah.
if the host is happy, the guests tend to be happy too, right?
Totally. It's like what
Um,
they say about wedding days. Like, if you're having the best day ever, like everybody else will have the best day, no matter what happens.
So then for starters, we'll have Viet Cajun prawns. So this was like, it was on like a TV program, maybe with like David Chang or something like that years ago. And it's this community of Vietnamese people who moved to like Houston or somewhere in the south of America. And they basically combined like the crayfish boil kind of vibe, or maybe it's like, yeah, they're like Louisiana kind of vibes, with like Vietnamese flavors. And so this is like their community of Vietnamese people who've moved there. And so it's like fried prawns, like massive, big, juicy prawns in butter with like loads of cumin, paprika, garlic granules, so like the Cajun-y kind of side, but then ginger, fish sauce, lime juice, and coriander. And like it is me and So's favorite things. And then with baguette, and it's like, I can't tell you how good the prawn head juice with the fish sauce and the garlic butter with the cumin and like all those spices is just insane. That's a really tactile thing to, you know, everyone's going to be sucking on prawn heads and dipping baguette and, you know, just getting stuck into it. Like that's our kind of food, our kind of dinner party, where like we don't really stand on ceremony. It's not going to be like, it's not like a starched napkin thing that someone's going to fold when you leave the table to go for a wee. It's very much roll up your sleeves and get stuck in.
When you first had that, did it take you a while to figure out how to recreate it?
Not really, I don't think. I think they showed you on the TV program. It was really easy, but you could. It's really not that hard. Like once you kind of have eaten it, you can basically work out like the core things in it. But yeah, just I urge anyone who's listening or watching this to like make it. They're so good.
I have to get the recipe off you.
Absolutely.
What are you drinking with that? Are you sticking with Negronis or are you moving on?
I'd probably have a bit of like an open bar system at that point, where like we might have a bottle of white wine on the table or beer. Not really like too specific. I like wine, maybe like a Riesling or something like dry. Like I like it, but for me it's never. It's like a nice thing to accompany the food, but I don't personally really care that much as long as it's nice. Maybe white wine. Maybe a Riesling. This is going to wind if my wife Soph is listening, it's going to wind her up so much.
We'll have to do like her point of view.
But the thing is, she won't know what to say because I'm saying all the things that she would be saying. She'll be like, "Well, we'll do is repeat
Like, there's
it."
no point.
You know.
Or just get her like, we'll just release your clips, but then with her like little additions here and there.
I'm sure AI can basically just turn my voice into her voice and have her face put onto my body or something like that. I don't know, some weird thing.
I'll see what I can do.
Yeah.
Okay, main.
And this is where it deviates from Soph. I don't know what Soph would choose. She would change her mind quite a lot, but I would
Mhm.
always say jerk chicken, rice and peas. It is the most for me. It is the most comforting thing that I eat.
Is this a you make it yourself, or is this
Nah,
specifically from somewhere where you've had it?
no. You want to go to a proper like Caribbean restaurant or like takeaway in London and South
Yeah.
London, somewhere with like rude staff. It's usually a good sign the food's going to be good. Actually had jerk chicken, rice and peas for dinner last night, so I'm like, yeah, this is not core memories. This is like recent. Yeah, with like coleslaw. Maybe we do some like corn on the cob to go
Hmm.
alongside.
Yeah, I
But
love a corn.
like I've made it at home. Like I've properly like smoked jerk, like the chicken. I've marinated it and all the rest of it. But it's kind of like they just do it so well. And if you find a good one,
Do you have a go-to near you?
actually went to Jerk Shack in Penge last night, which Soph has been. She cycles past to go to her gym, and she was basically saying it smells so good. And so yeah, we got it last night, and it was really good. Or Jerk, I think it's called Jerk House. I basically know where it is in Thornton Heath. Me and my mate Taps have been going there for don't know, like 20 years because we go and watch Palace together, Crystal Palace Football Club, and have done for many, many years. And we would always go and get jerk chicken in Thornton Heath after. So yeah, those are my two go-tos, and it's so good. It's just spicy and succulent and smoky, and the rice and peas are so comforting in a way that when people talk about mash in the same way, I just can't. It doesn't.
I
I'm like,
agree. I completely agree. I feel like you're on the rice train or you're not.
yeah,
For
I'm a
me,
rice guy.
rice is so comforting as well. I mean, if you were to pick one type of carb that you could only have for the rest of your life, what would it be?
See, that's very, very difficult for me
It's
because
hard, isn't it?
I was a sourdough baker for a while, and still bake. Yeah, I did it. It was for about a year. I was a sourdough baker, and I bake my wife again. I should probably just have Soph with me because she would be commenting. You'd be like, I bake like once a week. She'd be like, no, you fucking don't. But I try and bake like once a week because our son Rudy smashes toast, like will just demolish toast. And I love baking. I love baking at home with like whatever flours I've got and seeds and just making it up really. And I don't know whether it would be bread and rice.
But tough call. Which one pips the post?
But you start going down, and then you go potatoes. But you're like chips, crisps. I've got
Oh
crisps
no,
in my menu here that and then
it's
pasta,
really
noodles.
hard because that's the thing. Because like rice is so good, but it's not versatile. Like rice is like it goes with so many things, but it's not like a potato where you can have like a million different ways of cooking it.
My dad's Irish, so growing up we ate a lot of potatoes, and I think you either turns you into like a fiend or a
Yeah.
foe because he'd be like buzzing. He'd come in and he'd be like, "Oh, new potatoes just with butter on them for dinner," and I'd be like, "Oh, like so boring."
Stop feeding me potatoes.
Yeah, or he'd be like, "Champ, well, tonight we're having champ and sausages," and I'd be like, "Can we not have something exciting, like with a bit of spice or a bit of like I don't
Yeah.
know?" And so it was always. Whereas some people I know who've got like Irish or Scottish parents or whatever, it's such a nostalgic thing. They like love just new potatoes with some butter and some flaky salt, and it's like a really
Yeah.
soothing thing for them. But like for me, it's just a bit boring. And I'd like to sincerely apologise to all of my Irish relatives and Scottish ones because I know I've let everyone.
If you were having potatoes, what would be your potato of choice?
Well, crisps,
Yeah.
chips and roasties. Crisp
Yeah.
chips and roasties
Top
are
tier. Yeah.
elite level, anything. Match.
Basically any type of crispy potato.
Yeah. Anything that's been either deep fried or
Deep fry.
roasted in
Yeah.
fat.
Okay, where were we? Jerk chicken.
Then yeah, to drink, probably just like cold beer or maybe just if I was, if like the Negronis to go in my head, just an ice cold iron brew,
Oh, interesting.
which is just the drink of my childhood. My mum is Scottish, and
Yeah.
so in Scotland you call everything juice. Juice isn't just like orange juice; it's Coke, it's iron brew, it's anything. So if it would be like, do you want a can of juice? And like
Yeah.
that would be like the treat growing up was go and get yourself a can of juice, and it would be iron brew. That's a real treat for me.
I remember trying iron brew for the first time. Like core memory. It's like nothing else.
It's like when people try and when you like have to describe it, they're like, "What flavour is it?" It's like
I
it's Iron Brew
don't
flavour. What
know.
flavour is Coke? It's Coke flavoured. Like, it's the same.
Yeah, it's so true. What flavour is Coke?
I think it used to be the case. I don't know if it still is. That Iron Brew is one of Scotland is one of the few countries in the
Mm.
world where Coke isn't the like most drunk beverage,
Oh, really?
or like as a soft drink, or like that's not water, whatever. Yeah, there's like really few countries where that Coke isn't like the. In Scotland, it's still Iron Brew.
Paving their own way. Okay, dessert. Are
Tricky.
you a like more of a sweet or a savoury person?
Depends on the time and what mood I'm in really. Tiramisu would be up there. I think tiramisu might be on the menu. It's just so delicious. It's like make ahead. You have it in the fridge. There's no messing about. You just get it out and dust some cocoa powder on it. Everyone just like and it's not too heavy either. It's like it's light and airy and delicious. And caffeinated, so it'll make everyone dance more for the drum and bass, or like a lemon tart, something really zingy. I'd have something like that. Yeah,
Yeah, nice. I'm gonna have to mash together like all the times people have said tiramisu because it is just a fave.
like it probably would be my Soph's tiramisu. It's really good. Or Theo's pizzeria tiramisu is also absolutely legit.
Ooh, okay. What makes Soph's like top tier? Or is it the fact that she's made it?
Nah, I think it's just like made the proper way with eggs, just eating loads of raw whisked eggs, the eggs properly whisked up and the whites folded through and super, super light, but not heavy as like some of the ones with dairy or anything. Soaking the biscuits for the right amount of time so they're soft and like unctuous, but not falling apart and soggy and yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm not that into about tiramisu. I don't like the soggy biscuit bit.
I can see that. I can see
Mm.
that.
Are you having a different drink with your dessert?
Um, nah, just whatever you want.
Let's
Because
continue with the same.
some people might still be on Negronis. I don't like dessert wine or anything like that. This is all fictional, so I'd probably have someone throughout pouring like really, really perfect pints of Guinness. So maybe I'd have tiramisu Guinness to finish.
Yeah, like proper Guinness tap on the side somewhere.
Skiathos, Greek island, is famous for its Guinness.
I forgot we were in Skiathos.
Yeah.
Are you an entertainment kind of person at a dinner when you're hosting? Like, do you like to play games or bring anything else to the table as the night goes on?
We are people who quite like a board game. That would be like with friends. That would be more with family as opposed to friends because it can get a bit competitive, and people can after a few drinks can turn a bit nasty. And that,
Yeah, especially if you're drinking Negronis.
yeah, with free pouring Guinness and white wine and lager. So we've
Mm.
got a real mix. We've got a real stomach full of booze here that's not working well for us. I'd probably just have something like in the fictional world. I'd just have the whole cast of like Cirque du Soleil come in and just perform.
Incredible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just like a trapeze, just like a little trapeze. Yeah,
Just like appear out of the bushes in the Skiathos skyline.
yeah,
Not had a Cirque du Soleil before, so
unbelievable. People have got no imagination.
I feel like between that and the drum and bass, like you've got something incredible happening also.
This needs to be. I mean, surely there's like a London brunch with all of these things. Free flowing
Yeah.
mimosas with the Cirque du Soleil and drum and bass, and this menu. I think it'd go on a storm.
Yeah, I feel like Cirque du Soleil to drum and bass would be like really intense, but in like the best way.
No, but maybe the Cirque du Soleil. Yeah, maybe it'd just be to the drum and bass. So it'd be like really high energy and really
Yeah,
fast,
really stressful to watch.
like really really fast.
Oh, hilarious. Incredible. Sounds like an incredible evening in Skiathos.
And then just to finish up, I think we'd all fall out massively. We'd have to just call it a night. Be like, look, this has to end now. Like it's
Yeah,
just
like Guinness has stopped. Bars stop serving.
turn the music off, lights back all the way up. Like, come on, it's time.
Yeah,
Everyone needs to go home now.
Cirque du Soleil cuts. See you later. Amazing. Okay, I have some quick fire questions to end on. Something you always have in the cupboard.
A broom.
Something food related that you always have in the cupboard.
It's because I'm in a fictional world where I'm trying to be like my brain is being stupid. Basically, that's
Yeah, well, like people are still walking around on trapezes and stuff. So,
harissa. Basically, always got harissa in.
favorite cookbook.
one of the ones that me and or Soph have written. Sophie Godwin Sundays, a cookbook. My wife's first cookbook in her own name. It's fantastic.
Amazing. That must have been very cool.
Yes, and I'm food styling for it. You should go and everyone who's watching or listening, you should go and buy it. It's great.
I'll put it in the show notes. Takeaway of choice.
Crispy duck pancakes from the Chinese. Randomly, always get a big craving for it.
Yeah, and I feel like it's one of those things that's always good. Doesn't matter whether, like, how good the Chinese is.
A bad version of it is still good.
Yeah, it's hard to get wrong. Like, really badly wrong. Favorite condiment?
Hot sauce.
Do you have a particular favorite?
Just go through loads of them. I like cold. Cold's nice. Sriracha. Tabasco. Basically, eaten alive. Eaten alive is good. They're like Scotch bonnet. Hot sauce is really good.
Go-to snack?
That's not crisps. Bombay mix. Soph loves Bombay mix. In fact, her dad says that until she was about 3, all she ate was Bombay mix and petit falou.
What a like flavor profile difference.
Spiced and spicy, crunchy, and like overly sweet. And like is now like a recipe writer and cookbook author who writes about food.
I respect that though. Like, I feel like she had quite a lot of bases covered just with those 2 things. If you could only eat one country's cuisine for the rest of your life, what would it be?
That's really hard because we're the sort of people that like to jump around. And this isn't very quick fire because I'm basically I'm giving myself time here. Maybe Vietnamese. It's like so fresh and there's loads of like if I could get the actual herbs they use, like sawtooth coriander and all that kind of thing. Yeah, it's just so delicious and fresh, and like I just don't think I'd get that bored of it because there's like so many variation, regional differences, and rice noodles, broths, salads. Yeah, I love fish sauce as well. So
same. Have you been to Vietnam?
yes, several times. We went there on our honeymoon and spent
Oh, did you?
3 weeks there. Yeah, driving around on like little scooters and going to random little restaurants and sitting on little chairs. It was great.
Yeah, I went when I was like quite a lot younger with my family, but it was somewhere that I would love to go back to and just like eat around.
Unreal, and it's so cheap, and like the level of technique that goes into like these people who are making like pho broths on the side of the road, like with like little logs underneath a huge pot, like French, 3-star Michelin stocks and broths are like pay comparison, and like this is just someone who just has done it for many years and just dialed it in, and it is like amazing. Yeah, amazing.
It's crazy, isn't it? I feel like Southeast Asia just like really puts to shame like how we cook, because like you can just get the most exceptional food just like at this tiny moped on the side of the road
for like less than £1.
Yeah.
Whereas you'd happily pay like 15 quid for it.
That's another time where I'm like, why do I live in the UK? Okay, let's do a couple more. Go-to hangover meal.
I mean, yeah, it is also jerk chicken, rice and peas.
Just answer jerk chicken, rice and peas for all of the questions.
I had trouble not having it for all 3 or 4 courses. On arrival, maybe like rice and pea arancini with like, it's like served up in a different way, and then like rice and peas pudding.
I feel like that would be quite fun, like trying to recreate one meal in various different ways for...
I think it would be fun, but ultimately probably not that enjoyable.
Yeah, by dessert you might be like, right, I've had enough rice.
Yeah, basically salt and vinegar crisps and jerk chicken, rice and peas and iron brew, so like 3/4 of my menu.
That's just your refined menu.
It's good drunk or hungover.
Yeah, it works for every situation.
Yeah, those are the 2 states of life that most people live in. So
I feel like we should end there. It's not going to get better than that.
I think people are going to like write in and think that I have like a drinking problem or something. I actually don't drink that much.
Well, I mean, in this case, you're talking about iron brew, so
that's actually true. But yeah, that's actually true. But then I would be hungover, so I would have had to have drunk at some point.
Well, hopefully not. Hopefully no. No write-ins, but I'll let you know.
Just tell them to message me, and I'll tell them I'm okay.
All right, I'll send them directly to you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That was so fun. Do you want to let people know where they can find you if they don't follow you already?
Adam Bush Food on Instagram. Our company is Scramble LDN on Instagram, or scrambleldn.co.uk for our website. And I've spoken so much about my wife, Soph, who's at Soph on a plate, because, you've basically just heard all about her, and she may as well have been doing this anyway, so give her a shout out. She's pretty cool.
I'll put them all in the show notes so people can go and check out both of you, and I'll put her cookbooks in there as well. Thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Tables to Talk About. If you liked it, I'd love if you'd hit subscribe and left us a little review. It really helps people find us and means I can keep lining up dreamy guests to chat all things dinner parties. If we've got you in the mood to host, you can find all the playful tableware and styling bits you need over at Studio Dine, Studio Dine Store, and Tables to Talk About. And we've just launched a Substack. It's where I'm sharing all the juicy behind the scenes bits, exclusive extras from the pod, hosting tips, recipes, mood boards, restaurant recommendations, the works. Basically a little peek behind the curtain. Head to the link in the show notes to subscribe and come and hang out with us there too. See you next time.